Is this on the background of Pack 6 overexpression?
Toward the start of the film, it is shown that science has become very powerful. Indeed, even it can let us know the mark of soul presence. Science can enlighten us about everything concerning the soul. Many eyes are displayed in the following scene. In the wake of centering the eyes, it is uncovered that the eyes of two people are not something similar. People have various eyes. It implies everyone's eyes are novel. Like our fingerprints, the fingerprints can't be equivalent to our eyes. The primary person of the film, a little fellow named Ian, is presented. Ian is a researcher and is shown exploring creatures' eyes. His story is subsequently heard in his voice. It was his biography that transformed him. The scene shifts a long while back when Ian pursues the school. Ian has come to a party tossed by his school. Be that as it may, he wasn't appreciating it as he could do without this party. He was leaving from that point. In the interim, he sees a young lady when he considers moving out. We were unable to see that young lady's face as she took care of her face. Ian sees the young lady and advances toward her to inquire as to for what reason would she say she is remaining there. Why she didn't attend the party. Hearing this, the young lady expresses, "Take a gander at the moon, how pretty is it?" Here, Ian investigates that young lady's eyes. They are exquisite and Ian says, "Your eyes are beautiful. Could I at any point snap a photo of your eyes?" Welcome to the review recapped. Subscribe for a good day and enjoy. Hearing this, the young lady says, "Okay, what difference would it make?" Ian does likewise and snaps a photo of her eyes. Afterwards, the young lady asks Ian to show up at the party. They come to the party and they get a charge out of it this time. Ian is working in his lab with his companion in the following scene. In the meantime, Ian's female partner shows up and starts working with Ian in that lab. She has come here according to routine to work with Ian. Then, at that point Ian shows them the analysis he has done on mice eyes. Ian's associate becomes intrigued by seeing it. Ian is displayed at his home while watching the image of that young lady's eyes around evening time. The young lady with the cloak he met at the party. Ian dozes while seeing her eyes. Afterwards, Ian moves into a transport to go to his lab. He gets off the transport on the way because of some explanation. In the meantime, he sees a bulletin in front, in which there are the young lady's eyes whom he met at the party. Indeed, even he has made its image. Ian finds the young lady is a model and Ian arrives at his lab and examines that young lady. This young lady is named Sophie and she is a model. Then Ian is displayed on a train where he sees the model Sophie. She was sitting a ways off from Ian. Ian remains in his place and sits close Sophie. Sophie remembers him as she sees him and, after it's all said and done, she doesn't respond. She leaves when the train stops and Ian additionally moves behind her. Moving a good ways off, they begin conversing with one another. While talking, Sophie tells Ian that she was brought into the world in Argentina. Then I moved to France when I was 11 years of age. Hearing this, Ian likewise tells Sophie about him. That I am a researcher and exploring creatures' eyes. Sophie, let me let you know a certain something. Your eyes are the most gorgeous I've at any point seen. That is the reason I have made an image of your eyes. As I have never seen eyes like yours. An association was made between them while talking. Afterwards, Sophie comes to Ian's home with him, converses with one another, and lives it up. They were meandering outside and saw a white peacock. What's more, it looked beautiful. Seeing it, Sophie tells Ian that the white peacock is viewed as a spirit image in Indian culture. It signifies the presence of a spirit nearby a white peacock. Ian begins informing her regarding the logical realities. We find that they are inverse to one another. They are unique. Ian is shown residing at Sophie's home. Sophie shows her parents' image to Ian and he becomes miserable to see her parents' image. He reviews his folks seeing the photographs, yet he leaves while trying to avoid panicking. A sculpture is displayed in Sophie's home that has a place with India. Seeing it, we find Sophie is attached to Indian culture. The following day, Ian and his partner are shown working in the lab. They were giving the eyes to the bug that had no eyes. Ian accepts that our eyes are not God-gifted. Yet, people have created organs when people are conceived. Ian proposes Sophie arriving at home. Then he requests that she wed him. Furthermore, Sophie consents to this. The following day, they move to the court to get hitched. However, they find they can't get hitched today. They were getting discouraged as a result of it. However, at that point Ian gets a call from a partner and tells him, "We can give eyes to the bug on which we are testing." Ian becomes glad to hear this. Also, he tells Sophie about it while requesting that she move with him to the lab. Ian and Sophie come to the lab and Ian makes her meet with his associate. Afterwards, they tell Sophie about the bug. That we are investigating and giving it eyes. Sophie ends up being irate to hear this and says he is fouling up because it is against nature. Assuming we reproduce a human that God has made, it will be hazardous for ourselves and that human as well. Hearing this, Ian tells her the logical realities. What's more, causes her to see, however, abruptly, the corrosive drops from Sophie's hand. A couple of drops fall at Ian, causing extreme torment as his eyes consumed. Sophie gets terrified to see this and calls Ian's associate. She comes and places medication in Ian's eyes. Because of it, the impact of the corrosive eliminates, and Ian gets back with Sophie. They were moving home by lift, however, unexpectedly, a lift wire broke. The lift stops there. Seeing it, Sophie gets terrified and begins sobbing. Ian some way or another opens the lift's entryway and arises. Before he takes out Sophie from the lift, it goes drawback. Sophie stalled out in it and passed on there severely. Ian becomes discouraged to see it and becomes damaged. That's what we discover. Sophie inquired Ian not to cover her but to copy her when she passed on. He does likewise and covers her bones close to the congregation in the wake of consuming her. Ian becomes so discouraged that he begins ingesting medications given, losing Sophie. He turns into a medication junkie, and afterwards, one day he gets a call from one of his partners. Also, says, "I'm coming to your home," and shows him the bug on which they were testing. Their investigation was effective. Presently the bug can be seen, however Ian misses Sophie while seeing the bug. He becomes so miserable that he begins sobbing while at the same time embracing his associate. Afterwards, the time 7 years after the fact is shown, and Ian is displayed in a television interview. He says, "We have changed the nature rules while giving eyes to that bug." Ian is displayed with his companion and partner during supper. Here we find Ian's partner got hitched to his companion. Presently they were anticipating a child. What's more, their child kid is brought into the world following a couple of days and a medical caretaker checks his eyes. They find the eyes of the child look like a military man. None views it seriously and they consider there is an error in the PC. Following a couple of years, when the kid develops senior, Ian gets a specialist call. Furthermore, we believe should do a few tests on that kid. For this, Ian arrives at the clinic with his associate alongside the kid. They show him an image of 2 canines and the kid chooses a canine among them. Afterwards, the kid is shown an image of 2 females and he likewise chooses one of them. The kid begins sobbing in the wake of choosing the image, and here their analysis closes. Afterwards, they get back, they begin looking for the man whose eyes look like that man's. Ian finds where he resides, so Ian additionally arrives at that spot. He moves to the shop and gets some information about the man. Arriving here, Ian finds the man kicked the bucket ages ago. Presently Ian moves to that man's home while taking the location. He sees the canine on the way whom he chose and sees the woman for whom the kid sobbed. The woman is the spouse of the military man. After so much, Ian returns to his associate. He tells her the beginning and end, calls his companion at home and provides him with the image of Sophie's eyes. He asks him for an iris output of that image. His companion does likewise and begins an iris output of Sophie's eyes. He finds a man's sweep was found like Sophie's eyes 3 months prior. This man is from India and his associate requests that he go to India. Ian tells his associate, "Sophie used to converse with me about India. She was likewise joined to the Indian culture." Afterward, Ian moves to India. Coming to Delhi, he arrives where the iris output of that man was held. Arriving here, Ian meets a young lady who was the supervisor there. Furthermore, says while showing her Sophie's eyes that similar eyes were enrolled here. The chief perceives the eyes and says, "These are of a little kid, yet I don't have the foggiest idea where that young lady is at this moment." Hearing this, Ian says, "Could you at any point assist me with this?" The chief consents to help him and asks Ian to come tomorrow. The following day, the supervisor comes to a spot with Ian and gets some information about that young lady. They find the guardians of the young lady passed on and she has none in this world. She has no home, so none knows where is that young lady at this moment. Ian gets a thought and glues the image of Sophie's eyes on a board. Ian and the chief are shown together in the following scene. Furthermore, the director poses not many inquiries to Ian. Could it be said that you are strict? Or then again, do you have faith in God? Ian says I'm a researcher and simply has confidence in logical realities. I don't put stock in those things. The following day, Ian is shown sitting close to the board. Ian sees a young lady gazing at a board and perceives her by the search in her eyes. That she is the young lady for whom he is looking for. Ian goes close to her and starts talking. Afterwards, he takes her with him and afterwards, he begins investigating him alongside his associate. He showed her a few pictures. Also, the photos were connected with Sophie. The young lady offers the right responses to all inquiries. Afterwards, Ian shows her an image of 3 young ladies and there was Sophie's image too. The young lady picks furthermore, it finds the young lady was Sophie in her past life. And still, at the end of the day Ian doesn't trust this. Ian and the young lady move drawback, however the young lady gets terrified as the lift opens. She holds Ian. Furthermore, begins sobbing, however seeing this, Ian recalls Sophie kicked the bucket due to lift. Sophie's life additionally has the apprehension about lift. In the meantime, Ian recollects what the supervisor said. With it, Ian acknowledges there are numerous things that are past science. Science has no response to those things. In the end, we see that. Ian embraces the young lady to quiet her down and loosen up her. He doesn't take her by the lift yet, takes her from the steps. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.